So, welcome everyone to our Wednesday call. And today's session, I'm going to talk about what I no longer believe about animal Reiki that I did believe when I first took classes with Kathleen, and and also what I know to be true about animal Reiki that I've carried through since my very first class. So, one of the things I no longer believe is true is, and I think we've talked about this enough, and I think that the let animals lead method is evolved enough where we all kind of have the understanding we are not healers. So, when I first took my class with Kathleen in September of 2007, I had read her book, right? Her first book, Animal Reiki, and I hadn't studied human Reiki, but I had human Reiki sessions. One of the things I learned from my human Reiki sessions is that everybody was practicing Reiki differently. So it was kind of nice to find animal Reiki because it's like, oh, okay, this is like seems a certain way. But in my mind, I felt like animal Reiki was a healing modality. And that's actually how Kathleen was promoting it because that's where she was at that time, right? That's where a lot of people in the Western animal Reiki world are right now. We're healers, we heal. Um, but what I learned over the next few years, along with Kathleen, is that we aren't healers. Everyone is on their own healing path. And we learned this too. I mean, it was made very clear in COVID, right? We have all these thousands of Reiki practitioners, yet we couldn't get on top of COVID. And it's because everyone is on their own healing path. Now, as humans, we don't like that, right? We're like, wait a minute. I want to fix this. I want to heal this. I want to do something about this. And that's where I was when I took the class. It's like, I want to go into shelters. I want to help animals get adopted. I want to help heal them of whatever ails them. And if I can do that through this incredible modality, then yes, I want to be a part of this. But when we see ourselves as healers, we see the animal as broken. When you see an animal as broken, you're coming in and you're creating a boundary. You're not seeing them as the whole beautiful being that they are. You're seeing them as broken. And that was a huge lesson for me. And I think that that lesson really didn't come to a bold, like, oh crap, we can't do this anymore. Wasn't until 2011 when Kathleen got cancer. Well, the interesting thing that happened when Kathleen got cancer was everyone stopped seeing her as Kathleen. Here she is, this amazing woman, right? And she's created this amazing modality and she's doing these amazing things with animals all over the world. And yet it was like, oh, Kathleen's got cancer. Oh, oh, what's she gonna do? Oh, can't. And Kathleen and are like, whoa, this is really bad for Kathleen, right? But also, it was like, wow, this is what we do to animals. We're doing the same thing. Oh, you're sick. Oh, this is sad. This is bad. It's like, yeah, I have cancer, but it's not a death sentence. But people start to act like that, right? And it's not from meanness. It's not from ill will. It comes from a very loving place, which was really highlighted with Kathleen, right? Because she has these people love her. They're worried. They're worried for what they know, right? They're personalizing it. And that's what we do to animals. So it was a huge wake up call. Oh, wow. And I think that was about the time that Kathleen started to write articles about it and started to change how she was talking about how we come to animals, that we see them as whole, right? See them with your Reiki eyes. And that's where that came from, is we have to see the animals not as broken, not as needing to be fixed or healed. We see them as whole. And there's a lot of different stories that I've shared in these sessions, but also, if you're in my classes, just about like with horses especially. So last week or whenever we did the horses, yeah, because I was gone last week, week before when we did the horses, I was telling you the story about Rose. And everybody was talking about Rose getting adopted out, and everybody, and Rose was very depressed and she was very sad. But when we started to surround Rose with love and gratitude, telling her how grateful we were that she's the one that helps the orphan babies, acclimate to the rescue, that she's so kind and loving, that she works so well with the students, and that everybody loves her. And that just changed her. And after years of Lynn never seeing her run, she ran, right? Because she felt us seeing her for who she is, not as brain damaged Rose, who walks slow and doesn't always look you in the eye and keeps her head down. We saw Rose as this beautiful treasure to Pregnant Mare Rescue, where she's helping orphan babies. She's helping other scared horses, grown horses who are scared. Rose was always a good friend to the horses that had a hard time. And it's really, and there's so many different examples of that, right? That I could go on and on and on. But it's something I want you to take away because it really was one of my biggest lessons that I'm not a healer. I'm not here to fix anything. What I'm here to do is to show appreciation and gratitude because that energy, I mean, it's been scientifically proven, quantum physics, everything. If you want to raise your elevation, if you want to raise what's happening around you, approach life with gratitude and love and appreciation, right? And so for me, that was one of the biggest changes is no longer seeing myself as a healer. And I hope that, for those of you who call yourself a healer, remember, there's no judgment here. Kathleen, when I first took her class, it was, oh, we're healing practitioners, Reiki healers, that was the language. But when you learn differently, you evolve. And so I encourage all of you just to sit with that you're not a healer, but you're offering something so much more powerful. You're offering your loving presence. And the animals have shown us over the years, over and over and over again, that loving presence is more healing than anything. When we can come to them with gratitude and love in our heart, that is what changes everything. So it changed it for Rose. And I've shared with you the class that Kathleen taught where the horses were therapy horses that were shut down and they chased the Reiki practitioner out of the round pen because she was there to heal and she saw them as broken, right? But then when Kathleen's class comes in and they're seeing the horses as the beautiful beings they are and they're thanking them for all the incredible work they've done, then it's a different situation. It changes everything. Everything shifts in that moment. So I wanted to share that with you because that really is a powerful lesson. And again, no judgment. If you call yourself a healer, you can call yourself a healer. But when we're working with animals, we really want to not bring that label into our sessions. We want to just come to them with a loving heart. And I'm here to tell you, you don't need to be doing Reiki or anything formal to have a deep connection with an animal. You can have a deep connection with an animal by going to them and saying, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to be here with you. I love you. Thank you. You thank them for whatever it is. And I've mentioned many times how we would go to the zoo for World Animal Reiki Day. And our whole purpose of being there was to thank the animals for all the amazing work that they do in bringing love and joy to the people that come and visit. And it's incredible the connections you get across a crowded area. These animals connect with you because this energy that you're sharing is different than anything else that's coming through that zoo. And I'm not saying that nobody's coming to them with love and appreciation, but what I'm saying is on the average, they're not. So when you come and you come with love and appreciation, it really shifts everything. So that's the first thing that I I learned, and it was a big one, right? And I think that also it was powerful because of Kathleen's journey, and we could really start to compare and say, wow, yeah. And even, for humans, if someone has a diagnosis, do you want, like, if I'm diagnosed with cancer, do I want to be around somebody who is like, oh, wow, oh, what are you going to do? Because that always happens, right? Anything you're doing, a big life thing. I remember when I was moving up to Silicon Valley, people were like, oh, wow, oh, you don't have a job yet? There's always, and it always comes from a good place, right? It comes from a good place. Or do you want to be around that person, or do you want to be around someone who's like, oh, wow, that's exciting. I'm excited for you. If anyone can get through it, you can. If anyone can do this, you can. I remember when I started my first business, and I was so lucky to be around people where that's what they said to me. If anyone can make this a go, you can. If anyone can do this, you can. And that is so empowering, right? It makes you feel so much better about what you're doing. So just remember that the next time you start to feel worried for someone, right? You start to feel like, oh, ooh, that, remember, that's just your opinion. Like the Big Lebowski says, that's just your opinion, man. So we have to stop ourselves and say, you know what? Miracles can happen. I'm going to allow a miracle to happen. I'm going to set the space for a miracle to happen because that's how miracles happen, right? Belief, knowing it's possible. So I just want to share that one with you because it's big, right? And just be aware of how you're thinking when you're around not only animals, but people. And it's a journey, you guys. I mean, I still get freaked out and upset about things, but it's what you do afterwards, right? So when Shrek was my pit bull was getting ready to pass and he lived a long life, um, I had to really catch myself because I would start to feel sad. I'd start to feel, oh my God, but Shrek had a really good life. And even if, I mean, well, and I've gone through it with other animals where they didn't have a long life, they had a very short life, but still being in that energy of appreciation, love, always appreciation, right? You can bring yourself out of the depths of depression or, I mean, not depression, but like about your animals by focusing on the good times that you've had. And I've done that with every single one of my animals that's passed, and it makes a huge difference. You can feel it in their energy, right? They want you to be focused on the good, not the bad. And they're constantly trying to tell us this, but we're human, so it takes us a long time. Remember, we call it a practice because it's a practice. So the next thing that I want to share that this is kind of opposite that animal Reiki taught me was real that I didn't really totally trust. And that's distant Reiki, right? So distant Reiki is a hard one because I knew it worked because I would do it with friends, and they would say, "Oh yeah, I felt this or that." Or with their animals and they'd say, "Oh yeah, my dog, completely relaxed." Or if people are asking for distant Reiki for their animal for a situation, the situation might go away and or heal. And so that it works, but there's always that thing, right? Like Claudia's nodding her head. Yeah, it's just there's that thing, right? Because we don't trust ourselves. So when Kathleen and I first went to care, we it was a big class that Kathleen taught, and it was probably like 25 students. And it was over 3 days. It was a level one on one day and a level two over 2 days, I think. And there was a lot of sessions and it was a lot of things. So and we didn't stay on property or anything. So we got time with the tigers and Kathleen, I know many of you have read the story about Makoto. So we had a little bit of time with the animals, right? But not much. I mean, like, if we really break it down, probably only an aggregate of an hour total. So there wasn't like profound long sitting times with these tigers and Makoto the black leopard. It was just 10-minute sessions here and there. And then at the very end, um, actually on the last day, we weren't even around Makoto or Bolshoi. We were just around the two tigers and we got some pictures, right? So if you go on my Facebook, you'll see Tigger. He's on his back. I haven't changed it since 2011. I'm like such a creature of habit. It's like, but anyway, I'm not changing it. And then there's me and Tigger going face to face as my profile picture. So that was it. There wasn't any profound, oh my gosh, I had the most, I mean, I did have kind of a profound experience with the tigers when I was doing the precept meditation. And when you meditate with tigers, especially Tigger and Pumpkin, not not so much the younger ones. Well, they're not young anymore. The ones that came as cubs to the rescue. They were from those roadside shows where you take a picture with a baby tiger cub, and then what happens to the tiger cub after that? Nobody knows. So Kristen, three of hers came from that situation that are there now. And so their energy is a little different because they've been raised since babies, right? So they're really trusting, they love people. Whereas Tigger and Pumpkin were very much they didn't necessarily trust people. They had been abused. They came from very harsh situation. And so for them to connect to you was a big deal. And so I did a meditation with them, and it was funny because you meditate with a tiger, and literally when they connect, it's like you feel it almost like a medicine ball hits your chest. It's like, whoa. And so then, of course, I'm in the meditation and that happens. And then I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And you come out of it and they just look at you like, no. And they walked away, and they're just in their enclosure. They don't have far to walk, but they walked away from me and they didn't connect anymore. And it was like, oh my God, how do I get this back? No, you have to come back later. You messed up. They were funny. So when we left, that was 2011. And when we left, I just remember because tigers have always been, since I was a little girl, my favorite animal in the world. So for me, it was like, oh my God, these tigers, Tigger and Pumpkin, I just couldn't get them out of my head. And so when I would meditate at night, just on my meditations, and I've told you all, I have ADD, so sometimes visualizing is good. And I would just visualize myself with the tigers, like out in the jungle, or like I'm a baby tiger and I'm with these tigers, right? And then Kathleen got diagnosed with cancer. So that was in February of 2011. And Kathleen got diagnosed with cancer in April of 2011, April or May of 2011. And so, because of that diagnosis, then it was okay, really lock in on meditating and supporting Kathleen. And I just would always bring the tigers in, right? Always bring the tigers in, tiger energy, surround Kathleen. And I would just meditate and just be grateful to the tigers and, oh, please, help me support Kathleen, right? And so a year goes by and we go back to care. And when Kathleen and I went back to care, so Kristen doesn't have a whole lot of volunteers. And at that time, she was doing excursions to Cocoa Beach. So she left the gate unlocked for us and said, just go in and walk around the property and I'll be there later. And, you have full run. Oh, great. Perfect. And so we got on property and we didn't realize we were completely, totally alone. We didn't realize there were no volunteers at all. So we get there and I won't bore you with Kathleen's Makoto story because she's told that and you can read about it. But we go back to the tigers, and I go to the tigers, and Kathleen goes to Bolshoi. And the tigers are side by side in these cages, right? These big cages. And what happened was when we were walking up to the cages, we're like 100 feet away, probably. And we're talking, and the tigers could hear us. And when tigers hear a friend, they chuff. They go, and they started doing that. And Kathleen and I, oh, there must be a volunteer up there, right? So, okay, I guess we're not on property alone. But we got up there, and there wasn't anybody there. It was just us. So Kathleen goes over to Bolshoi, and Tigger and Pumpkin are rubbing against the fence, like, like house cats, and jumping up. Like they jump up, they stand up, and they're rubbing, and that's their, you're my friend, and they're chuffing. And I was like, oh my God, every time I meditated with them, they felt it. Every time I connected with them, they felt it. And for me, I was like, oh my God, works, right? And it was such a mind-blowing experience because then one of our friends who was also going to be a student, Carrie, came on property to meet us there. And as soon as she started walking up, they shut down. They were like, "Oh, nope, we don't, nope, not doing that for you." And I was like, "Whoa!" And after that, the bond, during that like class, they knew me. Like when I would come up to them, bring students to them or whatever, they would chuff. Oh, like I was a normal everyday volunteer. And it was such a huge lesson for me because one, distance works and we're blocking that connection with our own thoughts. But two, we have to be positive when we think about animals, right? So if an animal is in a bad situation, it doesn't help that animal when we're worried and thinking, oh my God, this is really bad. This poor dog, this poor cat, this poor animal, whoever it is in dire straits. What can I do? When we put that energy around that animal, that's all they're feeling. They're not feeling the love and and the appreciation that we want them to feel, right? They don't feel our intent that we want something good to happen. All they feel is our worry. And what Tigger and Pumpkin showed me was that when I was connecting to them in this very positive space, they felt it every single time. I was meditating with them on the daily. And when I came, it was obvious that they felt that meditation. So for me, that was another big lesson is just one, distant Reiki works. And two, we have to watch our mind. Where is our mind going when we're thinking of this animal? Another great example of this that happened recently was when I was going to adopt a pit bull named Caesar. And I posted it on Facebook. Oh, I'm going to go adopt this pit bull, blah, blah, blah. And everybody was so excited for me. There was like, I had like 100, comments, whatever. Everybody's all excited for me, right? And I got there and it didn't work out and I was all upset. But then I was like, nope, nope, not going there. And literally, like within 24 hours, this 10 and a half year old pit bull, which, hello, that's like a death sentence for these poor kids. He was going to have to be put down. Like this was Christmas Eve day. He was going to have to be put down like the third or something because the family couldn't take him and they couldn't find a home. And literally within, I don't even think it was, I think when I got back in the car, there were two foster prospects, but by the next day, 24 hours later, one of the prospects went and visited him and took him. And then within another day, they found an adopter who had an older pit bull. But my belief is that because of the incredible love and great intentions that surrounded Caesar when I posted on Facebook. And then I was posting updates. My Facebook is public. If you're on Facebook, you don't have to be my friend. You can go read it. But I was posting about, oh, he got a foster. Oh my gosh, he got a home. And people were surrounding him with this bubble of love. And in my opinion, the miracle for Caesar happened because of that initial input, that infusion of love and good intentions that everybody thought, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. This is so great. You're going to take Caesar. And then when that didn't work, that's okay. This foster is going to work out. It just was on and on, right? It was good energy, good intentions. And even though good intentions are great, but they're not good on their own, you've got to back it up with the positive energy, with the love and the belief that miracles can happen. So the other fallacy was not so much about animal Reiki, it's about believe in distant Reiki. But when you're doing distant Reiki or when you're thinking about animals, do it with love from your heart, right? And so in animal Reiki, level one, you're not really learning the symbols and mantras yet, but you are learning how to connect with your heart. And then in level two, you learn the symbols, right? Honsha Shonen, the connection from your heart. And the reason for that is that the heart energy works. The heart energy is what is your connection to everything. So for me, for animal Reiki, it wasn't necessarily something I no longer believe about animal Reiki as being bad. It's something I truly, definitely know to be true about animal Reiki that I really wasn't very convinced about at the beginning. And I mean, this is 2011, right? So it's like 3.5 years later because I took my class in September of 2007. This is February of 2011. It took me that many years, and I'm teaching it, and I'm out there saying, yeah, it works. It works out. Yes, it does. And I'm sharing my little anecdotal situations, but there was a deep belief that is it, and it wasn't like it didn't work for everybody else. So, when I say I was teaching this, I knew other people were capable of it. It was, I didn't believe myself to be that good at it. But what the tigers taught me, what Caesar's story taught me, is that it does work. Energy is energy. And the minute you think of a person, an animal, people, we might not feel it as much, but definitely animals feel it. So always know that, and especially like if you're leaving your animals at home or you have to go on a trip, always connect to your animals. Bring them with you, say, oh, look, I bring my dog with me. Oh, I'm in Spain. Look, here we are in Spain. Look at this, look at that. You know, believe the unbelievable because we don't know what's true. Like, think of what we know to be true now that we didn't know to be true even 20 years ago, right? So just know that anything is possible. The other thing I really wish I would have had at the beginning of Animal Reiki that we really didn't have until about maybe like 2018. Like Kathleen was saying, see with your Reiki eyes, right? See the animal as whole. Um, but it wasn't until about then that like all is well started to become bigger and more talked about and in the manuals. And in 2000, I think it was 2019, one of my students was the one that said she was transporting some animals from a shelter to a foster or something. And her name is Kathy, and God, I can't remember Kathy's last name. But anyway, Kathy said, oh, what I was saying to the animals was, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. I was like, whoa. I could feel the power in those words. And actually Louise Hay and other people say these same things. I am safe, I am loved. Maybe not all is well or everything always works out for me. There's different variations of this, and obviously they're not in Reiki. It's more, a spiritual thing. But I wish I would have had that back when I started Animal Reiki because there's a lot of power in words. And so in Japanese, the power of words is called kodadama. And for you are safe, you are loved, all is well. There is so much power in those words. And when you say them to an animal, it's really healing because in this moment, we only have this moment. In this moment, you can believe that, right? If you can believe in this moment, we're sharing this space, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. That's really, really powerful. And I really wish I would have had that back in 2007. But we were in a different place. Kathleen was in a different place, and it's a growth, right? There was growth. But I share this with you because it is incredibly powerful and it's something that can enhance your practice now. Like if you're not using this, use it because it will enhance your practice. It's why I lean into it so hard in these calls because it works. You don't have to know Reiki. You can share this with other people. If you want to do an introduction to animal Reiki class and you want people to have an instant connection, like let's say you're teaching at a shelter, and I know Monique's getting ready to teach, but if you were going to do like an intro class, Monique, and you want to give people something that's grounding, something to hold on to, something they can use right away, the precepts work in a level one class because you're learning kind of that the people are open to animal Reiki and it's a little more advanced because you have to kind of really explain the concept of the precepts. But all is well is very powerful on its own. And if you send people to sit with an animal and bring love to their heart, right? Just breathe into your heart, feel the love building, and just say to the animal, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. Because what that does is, so, for me, going into a shelter was really hard. And that's when Kathleen, when I took her level one class, most people took it because they wanted to start a business, like an animal Reiki business. I wanted to learn it so that I could go into the shelter. But I told Kathleen that I can't. So we're going to talk about that next. But had I had the all is well mantra, That would have been just as powerful for me because in that moment when I'm sitting with that animal, it really is true. All is well. You are safe, you are loved, all is well. They're in a shelter. I was at the Silicon Valley Humane Society, which is a beautiful animal rescue facility, and they take very good care of their animals. And so I could say, I would have been able to say that with 100% certainty. You are safe, you are loved, all is well. But we can say that even in difficult times. We can say that to the animals of, like, let's say Ukraine or Iran, right? We could say this to these animals because when we connect with them, we're going to a place that isn't physical. In this space, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. Remember, animals connect and communicate with energy. They can rise above what's happening and go to that place that you and I have to go, okay, I got to do some dry bathing. I got to do my precepts. got to do breathing. I got to ground myself. La, la, la. I got to hold a crystal, all these different things. Animals don't have to. They can actually go above it. And what the beauty is that we offer to animals is that when we are in that place of the energy of like all is well, or the energy of the precepts, and they're stressed out, right? So you're connecting, let's say, with some dogs in Iran, and you want those dogs to feel that safety. Then just I'm connecting with the dogs of Iran, and I say to them, you are safe, you are loved, all is well. Even if they were passing on isn't the worst thing that can happen, right? I mean, passing on is it's relieving you of the current pain that you might be in. So what we're doing is we're just enveloping them in love and peace, and there's nothing more healing than that. So just trust that that energy works. So for me, that's a big one. I wish I would have had it. And it's why I really encourage you, use it. Use it, use it, use it. Use it in your classes. Use it when you talk to people about animal Reiki. Use it as much as possible because it is powerful. It's very powerful. And if you go back throughout time, there was a version of this going back way before Louise Hayes or Hayes, way before her. There were versions of this being stated, at the turn of the century, even before that, by people who saw beyond the physical. So this does work. And then Alice says, power of words includes the names people give animals, sometimes quite negative and disrespectful. I know, I babysit this little cute dog named Pig. And so I just call her Sweetie and Cutie and yeah. But also we have to remember, and I'm so glad you brought this up, Alice, because this is a really good point. What is the energy we are giving to that name, right? Like pig on its own is just a word, Pig. It's just a word. If you say it enough times, it starts to lose all meaning. But I associate it with an actual animal pig, and she's a little chunky. So then it becomes a negative word, right? But really, what if pig in another language meant beautiful and strong? It's my perception that's putting negativity. So we can switch that. We can say, I love your name. I love you. You are beautiful. You are amazing. You are perfect, right? So that's I'm so glad you brought that up because Alice, you're highlighting what I was doing wrong. I'm seeing pig, her name in a negative way. But what if pig meant precious, incredible girl, right? It's her little acronym. Then it's different. Then it puts a whole different spin on little pig's name. Oh, you're perfect. You're incredible girl, right? So I love this because it brings to light something we may not consider, something I never considered. And I love this. So thank you, Alice. And that's why I love these calls, you guys. And Alice, you can unmute yourself if you want. I love these calls because I'm here sharing my perspective, right? It's my perspective. But you guys come out with these things. Thank you, Angela. You guys come out with these things and it's like, oh, wow, yeah. I wasn't thinking about that. So thank you for that. So going on to now, I want to lead up into the precepts. So the precepts is the one thing that I have carried through since day one. And the reason for that being is I've told you guys I have adult ADD. I mean, I probably had ADD all my entire life. I mean, if we're going to be honest about it. And so meditating was not a thing for me. Like I went into Kathleen's class and was like deer in a freaking headlights. Like I could meditate, when you're in a group, it's a lot easier, right? You can calm your mind. We were at Bright Haven. There's a lot to like make you feel very peaceful and meditative. But you go back home and it's like, oh my God, I can't meditate. But I also knew this and I one of the other reasons why the precepts were so powerful for me was that Kathleen said, if you can't go into a shelter because you cry, because like I couldn't even step foot into a shelter without bawling. That's not helpful. She said, just use the precepts. Sit in your car, say them 3 times, ground yourself, and just remember, if you get worried, you're out of the precepts, but you can bring yourself back by saying, for today only, do not worry, right? So the precepts, think of it like a chain, and then all of a sudden, you break one of them, but you can mend that chain by just bringing it right back in. For today only, do not worry. For today only, be humble. I don't have the answers. Also, what's very empowering about going into a shelter, you can't take all these animals home. You probably can't even take one of them home. So that's really empowering. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can't take any of them home, but I can go and I can just sit with them and I can recite the precepts and I can bring that energy of the precepts, right? The energy of compassion. Because when we let go of anger, we get down to worry. When we let go of worry, we get down to humility. When we are humble, we can be grateful, we can be honest, and we can be compassionate, right? It's that inner circle. You keep going the layers and going deeper and deeper and deeper until boom, you're at your heart, your pure essence of compassion, love, empathy, right? And so for me, because I had ADD, and this is like a blessing in disguise, right? Sometimes our biggest curse is actually our biggest benefit. So for me, because it was really hard for me to meditate, using the precepts all the time, I started to see huge shifts in my life. The precepts literally changed my life in the biggest possible way. It was crazy because after 2 weeks, I started to notice that like certain tensions with people, like at work, were going away. They were they were healing. And I wasn't doing anything. I did nothing to change it. I wasn't, well, I probably was reacting to them differently because I was in the energy of these precepts. And the more I practiced, the more I let go of anger. And I talked about this, and I'll do, for the retreat, I did a whole section on the precepts. And if you guys want, I'll do that section for you here. I mean, it'll be a little bit shorter, but I would repeat the precepts. So yes, so Cindy, so just, for today only. And sometimes it was just wherever I was with the precept. Like let's say I go into the shelter and I'm worried. I would just, for today only, do not worry. For today only, do not worry. And when I could start to let go of that, then I would go and maybe say the precepts, or maybe I just sit in the energy. But when I would start to gut out or my mind starts to wander, I just bring myself back to the precepts. So like at work, what I had was I had my precepts in front of my desk and just to remind me, right? But every day, and Cindy, thank you so much for saying that because you're bringing me back to a point I probably would have missed, which is when you practice the precepts, you say them 3 times first thing in the morning and 3 times at night, right? So you're starting your day with the energy of the precepts and you're ending your day in the energy of the precepts and you're bringing those precepts to your subconscious, right? So when you say them at night, right before you close your eyes to go to sleep, they're becoming a part of you. They are in your subconscious, right? They're becoming a part of your energy and they're starting to heal you. So 3 times in the morning, 3 times at night, guess what, people? It's only like 2 minutes a day. And I remember when Kathleen, when she talked in Scotland, that was like one of my big things. I told her, you have to share this with people because it was an intro thing, right? It's like, it's only 2 minutes a day. 2 minutes a day. Everyone has 2 minutes a day. It's only going to take you a minute in the morning and a minute at night. But the change that you're going to go through is huge. It's going to change your life. So I was less angry. I was less worried. And I was a pretty anxious person. Not anxious, like if you like I'm pretty much how I am now. But underneath, I'd be really anxious. And I was controlling. Oh my God. I was the worst mother. I was so freaking controlling. I always apologized to my son I was a younger mother too. And so I just apologize to Cody all the time. Cody, oh my God. And he's always like, Mom, it's fine. I survived. Don't worry. But I was so like, just. And what I saw with the precepts was I started to let go of that. I started to let go of all of the need to control, the need for things to be the way I wanted them to be, right? Because that's just my ego speaking. So for today only be humble, that was really powerful. But it wasn't like I went, oh, wow, yeah, I'm going to focus on being humble right now. No, it was something that you all of a sudden look back and go, oh my God, I didn't freak out. That's weird. And my relationship with my son got exponentially better, right? We're super close now. We struggled when he was like in high school and after, and oh my God. And yeah, it was hard. But we're at a really good place. Now, he's 38, whatever he is, almost, God, I think he's almost 40. Yeah. Um, but it was really the precepts that did it. It changed my life. Of course, this practice, but when I talk about the most powerful tool that I learned day one, and I still to this day practice, if I'm not getting anywhere, if something's happening in my life and I'm not getting anywhere, I go to those precepts. And I don't recite them every night anymore, but I will recite them. And when I'm feeling out of balance, when I'm feeling stressed, when I'm feeling worried, I don't know. I'm going to recite the precepts. So that's something that's really powerful. And I really hope oh, and the precepts. Yeah, of course, Linda. So the precepts are, I'll give you the simple version. The precepts are for today only. So for today only is a very Buddhist concept, right? Only in this moment. For today only, do not anger. Doesn't mean you're never going to get angry. It just means you're going to let go of your anger. Do not worry. Be humble, and then the official ones are be honest in your work, but you can say be grateful, be honest, be grateful. So you could say or be humble and honest, because honesty goes with humility, right? When we're humble, we can be more honest about who we are and what we're doing. Be grateful and show compassion to yourself and others. So for today only, do not anger, do not worry, be humble and honest, be grateful, and show compassion to yourself and others. And the reason, or be kind to yourself and to others. And the reason we say that the ending to ourselves is we have to remember, thanks, Karen. We have to remember the only way we can know true compassion is if we can show it to ourselves. And Linda, you know what? We'll do a talk on the precepts because there's a lot to the precepts. And Nicholas shared some really incredible information about the precepts that I could share with all of you. Because now that the retreat's over, I can share this talk with you, and it won't be quite as long because that was, I think, like almost 2 hours. But I'll talk to you guys about it, and because there's some really great information about the precepts that, especially, I know Monique, you're going to be teaching, and it's really helpful information to share with your students. And of course, right now, because my mind's so a million miles an hour, I can't think of exactly what it was, but oh, I know what it was. Yes. Because the precepts, I'll tell you this. Yeah, of course, Linda, and I'm happy to do this. The precepts aren't Reiki. They didn't start with the Sui, and there's proof. And so I'm excited. Well, and which we already knew anyway, because Dr. Suzuki Bazan came out with a book in 1914, and Asui's precepts were literally almost word for word verbatim. So I'll do this in the next couple weeks because we have, in fact, I can do this next week. You guys want to do it next week? Let's do it next week. I was going to talk about something else, but let's do the precepts since we're already talking about it. So yeah, next week we'll do precepts, but I know we're getting to time and I do want to do a short little meditation. And so the last thing I want to share with you guys, and this is another really powerful one. So these are like my 5 top powerful things about animal Reiki that I've learned and let go of and still practice. The other one was the word meditation. Now, this one was a hard one. So when I first learned, now remember, I didn't know human Reiki at all, but all the animal Reiki people in the animal Reiki world that I was a part of, SARA, they had all studied human Reiki, like Kelly, Kathleen, obviously, you know, Cheryl, who I mean, just all the founding members, Bill, Stevens, everyone I was around had learned human Reiki. So I'm coming to this animal Reiki that Kathleen's teaching with a different perspective because my perspective is, well, from what I know of human Reiki and from what we're not doing Reiki, we're actually meditating. And the pushback was big. It wasn't just Kathleen. Everybody was like, no, we're doing Reiki. And it's like, yeah, but we're not. We're not doing human Reiki. We're focused on meditating with animals because we know that works. We're not doing what a lot of human Reiki practitioners do with the animals. So really, we're doing meditation. So I started to, in fact, one of my students, Kathy O'Brien, who's a good friend of mine, she actually was the one that was like, well, I just tell people I meditate with animals, and then they go, oh, wow, that's cool. So I started doing that. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is after the tigers. This is probably like 2013. So it's a few years that this has been going on. Or maybe it was like 2012. I don't know. Anyway, doesn't really matter when I started talking about it. But it was when I started telling people, oh yeah, I meditate with animals. It was like, what? Oh my God, that's so cool. Do you teach animals how to meditate? And it's like, no. And then you tell them what you do, and they go, wow, that is so cool. Whereas before, I would say, oh, I do animal Reiki. What's animal Reiki? Well, it's this Japanese system, right? On and on and on. And it's like, oh my God. And they start to fog over, and all they can click on is that word Reiki, which is a weird word, and they don't understand it. And they're like, what are you doing? What is, what is Reiki? Or they knew what Reiki was. And they would be like, oh, yeah, I know what you're doing. You're doing hands-on, you're doing this. And it's like, no, we're actually not doing that. So there was like this confusion about what I was offering. And a confused mind is a mind that doesn't commit, right? So when you go into a shelter, and luckily, I was very lucky with the Humane Society of Silicon Valley because they were one of the women who was in charge. Beth, she, I gave her a couple of Kathleen's books, and she was very into, whatever's going to help the animals. So she didn't get too hung up on the word. And I was saying Reiki back then. This was 2000, 7 and 8, but and longer. But then as we evolved and as I started doing this, I'm like, I'm not going to say Reiki anymore. I'm just going to say meditation. And it's a bummer that we're the Shelter Animal Reiki Association because it's front and center. But the way you can get around that is, well, it's Reiki meditation because that's what it is. We are going back to the roots of Reiki with this practice. So one thing I want you to consider, and I have shared this with all of you before, is when you think about a Sui, and this is what we know to be true. A Sui went to Mount Karama and did a fast for 21 days, right? We know this. This is fact. It's been proven over and over and over and over again, okay? All the historians agree a Sui did this. Now, a Sui was on the mountain. He was more than likely outside on the mountain, but even if he weren't, he would be outside at different times. And on this mountain, there was wild deer, boar, there were eagles, there were foxes, there were coyotes, there was wolves too, I think, at the time. We know, those of us who practice animal Reiki, know that when you meditate around animals, everything gets quiet. So think of someone like a Sui on the top of the mountain meditating. And he's a creator of Reiki, right? His energy is pretty freaking strong. Imagine the animals, how they came and supported Asui's journey. So really, when we look at animal Reiki, which came first, human Reiki or animal Reiki? Hands down, animal Reiki came first. Not animal Reiki like he was trying to heal animals. Animal Reiki in the sense of animals are here to enhance our practice. Animals are here to show us how to be in the world. So when we think about Asui, it's not, oh, Asui came down from the mountain and he started doing hands-on healing. He didn't. he might have used a finger and things like that, but how it started was people started to feel healed in his presence, not like he was doing anything. It was in his presence. So you can imagine what was happening on the mountain. Here at Sui is 21 days with all these animals, all wild animals up on top of this mountain. Imagine that. So when we think about meditation, we're going back to the roots. The way we practice is more in alignment with the roots than human Reiki is. So just think about that and consider it. We are doing meditation. Yes, we're called the Shelter Animal Reiki Association. Yes, it's animal Reiki, right? But what we're doing, and that's why the language has changed so drastically. And if you look at back at like how we were talking about it in 2007 and how we talk about it now, it's completely different. And we say, on our website, it's a meditative modality, meditation, because that is what this is based on. So, speaking of meditation, I know I want to get to one, but I also want to open it up to all of you if you have any questions or you want to make any comments about this. We have a couple minutes and then we'll do a short meditation. But, I just hope, oh yeah, Claudia, I just hope that you come away just a really quick recap. One is we're not healers. Two is distant Reiki works. Three is all is well. Four is the precepts. And then five, of course, meditation. So hopefully this was helpful. Claudia, yes.
Yeah, I was when you said about distant Reiki, like you gave an example how when you think of a person, the person picks up on that. So, and that reminded me of what my animal communication teacher once told us, because we all thought animal communication, that's weird too, right? Because
Right.
that is basically distant work. So, and she said, well, just see it like this. How many of you thought of a person and within a few seconds your phone rings and there's that person on the other end of the line?
Right.
And what animal communication is and distant Reiki is basically just that connection already exists, but you just fine tune it. And
Yes.
it reminded me of that. Yeah.
No, I love that because that's exactly right. It is a connection. But here's the thing, and I'm so glad you said that. If we think about that connection, right? It's like remember back in the day when there'd be static on the line, or like if like cell phones when they first came out, right? Static on the line. That's almost like how our communication is, right?
Yes.
And how
Yeah.
our distant Reiki is. There's so much static, but with an animal, it's pure, right? It's
Yeah.
boom. There's no static, there's no lag, there's no downtime, right? I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah, that's funny. She actually also always used the word static and getting rid of the static. Yeah.
Oh, how funny. Yeah, because
Funny.
that's what it is. Like, right, you have a clear line, but for those of us who have a certain age, we remember static on the line, right? We remember how it's like you'd get a line and there'd be all yeah. So thank God those days are over. But now, because look at the technology, right? And here we are, and it's a clear communication, and that's what we can have with animals when we can let go of that static. I love that. Thank you, Claudia. Yay. See, this is why I love our community because there's there is just so much wisdom in this room. So if anyone else wants to share or make a comment or anything else, otherwise we'll go to our meditation. And I think that oh, you know what, you guys? The time change. I like have people joining right now and I'm like, "Oh, the time change." Because in the United States, we jumped ahead an hour, and everywhere else, they stayed the same at least for another week or two. So, Rebecca, I saw that you just joined, and someone else joined before that. And I am sorry, but yes, it's daylight or not, it's standard time now, I think. I don't know. Anyway, that's why, yeah, I should have said something in my email, but Next week, we're going to talk about the precepts. I'll bring all that amazing information to all of you. Monique, you're going to be especially want to hear this because I know you're going to teach, and this is great information to have. Um, but yeah, we'll talk about the precepts, we'll talk about the power, and we'll talk about why the precepts work. Because that is the one thing that came out of the information that Nicholas gave me, is that they work because of this system that's not Reiki, where these precepts come from. And it's a spiritual system, and it's something that we can all really align with. And for me, it was like, oh wow, this makes so much sense now. So it's not even, precepts aren't even Reiki, which is kind of, for people, but we'll talk about what they really are. So let's, for the next few minutes that we have, if nobody else wants to comment. Oh, and Mary Ellen says, oh, Claudia says, yeah, they Canada jumped ahead, and then Chris says we jumped ahead in Canada, and then Mary Ellen says daylight savings time. And even some US states. Yeah, I know. My mom's in Arizona, so now we're on the same time, which is nice. But yeah, it's such a weird thing. I wish we wouldn't do it. But anyway, we won't get into that. So what I want us to do is I want us to do the all as well, because we have people like and oh my gosh, and I just, Linda, yes. Linda, who don't know the precepts. Otherwise, I would do the precepts, but let's make it simple. Let's do all as well. So we always want to bring our hands into Gasho at our heart. And again, when we do this, this in itself is a meditation. If you do this every time you want to bring peace to your heart, you want to bring quiet, you just even want to say the precepts, bringing your hands into Gasho, which just means bringing left and right together at your heart, is really powerful. And while we're here, I'm just going to look at this comment. So while we're here, yeah, Rebecca, that's what I heard in 3 weeks. But anyway, so while we're here in this space, I just want you to take some cleansing breaths. Just breathe in deeply through your nose, pull your breath deep into your belly, expand your belly, and then slowly release your breath out your mouth. And when you release your breath, release it as if you're blowing out a candle or you're blowing through a straw. And just do a few more of those breaths. Just breathing in slowly through your nose. Pull your breath as deep as you can into your belly. Hold for a second, and then slowly release your breath out your mouth. And if you can, release your breath a little bit longer than your in breath. So maybe it might help to do in breath, 2, 3, 4, hold, and then out breath, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just a couple more of those. And really feel your body start to soften, start to relax. Maybe your shoulders start to drop. Your head might start to feel a little heavy. And now I want you to bring your hands either face up or face down in your lap, but just focus on a nice, soft breath. And say to yourself, and you can close your eyes or leave them open, I am safe. I am loved. All is well. I am safe. I am loved. All is well. I am safe. I am loved. All is well. And just allow that to sink into your body. Pay attention to where you feel it in your body. Do you feel it in your gut? Do you feel it in your heart? Maybe you even feel a little anxiety when you say that. And that's okay. Now I want you to think of an animal you love deeply. And it could be more than one. And say to that animal, you are safe. You are loved. All is well. You are safe. You are loved. All is well. You are safe. You are loved. All is well. And now feel how that feels in your body. Do you feel lighter? Do you feel happier? Maybe you just feel loving. And now think of someone in your life that you love deeply. Maybe it's a parent, a partner, a friend. Think of them and say to them, "You are safe. You are loved. All is well. You are safe. You are loved. All is well. You are safe. You are loved. All is well." And now bring your hands into Gasho and give thanks to the animal or animals that joined you and to your friend or the person you love most that joined you. And just send gratitude and love. And now I want you to thank yourself. Thank yourself for being here, for showing up, and for being part of this beautiful community. I am so grateful to each and every one of you. And whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate you being here with me. And I will see you next week. And we will talk about the precepts, which is really powerful. And yeah, and I'll share what I know. And I think you guys are going to be really excited for this one because I was so excited when Nicholas shared this with me. And I was so excited. I know like Angela was at the retreat, Claudia was at the retreat. They know this, but for those of you who weren't at the retreat, this is something that you're going to really love. So thank you all so much for being here. And I will see you next week. Oh, and then after that, we have Jean-Louis coming back to do his music, Biomusic One. And if you've never experienced it, oh, I'm telling you right now, it is an amazing experience to listen to this music that has already been proven to work with your body on a cellular level. Watch how you just really start to release any stress and tension just through this music. And if you have animals around you, it's really cool to watch how they like to respond. And then also, after that, we're going to have Scarlet Raven coming back and talking to us about, oh gosh, her what is it? It's a manifestation course, but it's something a little bit deeper. But every time Scarlett comes, she's an incredible healer. It is such a healing session. So we have her coming, and then yes, Rebecca, we love Scarlett. And then after that, we're going to have Amanda Ree from Samadog, and she's all about meditation. And yeah, Claudia, you know Amanda. She is all about meditation with animals. And in fact, I think she even has a show on Dog TV or something now. So yeah, we have some really great guest speakers coming up. I'm super excited for us because it's just a way for us to further what we're doing in this world and really get that support. So, of course, we're going to talk about animal Reiki. We're going to talk about animals, but I also like to bring people here who are going to help you feel supported deep on a cellular spiritual level. So I'm super excited for what's coming up, and it'll be great because we'll kick it off with the precepts, then we'll go to Jean-Louis, then we'll go to Scarlett, and then we'll go to Amanda. So it's going to be 4 weeks of just fun. So thanks, everyone. Mwah. Love you all, and I will see you next week. Bye.